Okay, so we've got the Ping G410. This is the newest model from the G series. They basically what they've done here is they've shortened the length of the face a little bit, and they've given it about a 10% decrease in offset, meaning that the face is no longer shut quite as much as the original G400. And they've changed up the look of it a little bit. It's got a little bit more of like a satin shiny finish to it. And they've changed the back of it to give it a little bit more of a feel of what a lower handicap player might like to look at. The overall look of the club, I definitely agree, is much better. Let's get into it. Let's see if it feels as good as it looks. Got a brand new sleeve of balls here, brand new Strixons. Let's see how this G400 feels. From here to the flag, we have about 160 yards, which is my typical 7-iron. Give ourselves a nice, pretty lie, okay? Here goes nothing. Okay. First impression, even though that was hit a little bit thin, it felt pretty solid. That I took a little more dirt, hit it a little bit more solid, and it felt more solid. One thing I'd like to say is that I did try this club out on the range before I brought it out to the course, but that was hit off of mats. And as you know, hitting off of grass and hitting off mats, two completely different stories. So I think definitely overall huge difference between the two. That felt great. It was a little steeper, took a lot more grass. The overall feel of this is very solid. When I was hitting it off of the mats, to be honest, it felt a little bit clunky, and it felt a little loose and clunky. When I got it out here on the grass, it felt way more solid. The sound was better, the feel was better, and the ball flight was great. Like, I have no complaints. It definitely flies a little bit higher than my normal 7-iron would. I play the Mizuno MP32, so this is definitely going to fly a little bit higher than my clubs, but the overall feel of it is great. Being somebody who's in the market for new irons, I would definitely consider this. Now, the shaft that's in this is the factory stiff Alta, shaft. So not necessarily the shaft that I would pick for my club head speed and for my personal preference, but for a demo club and for the average person that's learning the game, or even a better player, probably a mid 5 to 15 handicapper, I think this is definitely a solid choice. And one of the huge benefits with buying Ping that nobody really talks about is just how long the clubs that they make stay looking good and they stay looking new, because they're not using that typical shiny chrome finish, which over a very short period of time will start to look like it's been beat up. This club will maintain its look for a very long time. So I don't think you can go wrong with buying pretty much any Ping club, but this would definitely be in one of my top few choices. So an overall rating, if I had to rate this club out of a scale of 1 to 10 on likability, look, style, feel, sound, I'd give it a 7. And the reason why I give it a 7 actually is not because of the it's not because of the look. I actually really like the look. It's a little bit bulky for what I would typically pick, but they've done a really good job of revamping the styling of the club. The finish of the club is great. The feel of the club is great. The one thing that brings this club down for me a little bit is, again, the sound of the club when hit off of mats. It just doesn't have the right sound. It sounds a little bit clanky. But when you get it out here on the grass and you're able to take a really solid divot, the sound of the club changes for the better. The sound of the club changes for the better, and completely changed my opinion of it. So check this out, you guys. Okay, so here's my first ball, right? But that's my second ball. Third ball is over there. The point is, this G410 is flying about 15 yards. This one's about 25 yards further than my 7-iron. Okay? That's about, well, let's mark it off. 1, 2, 3, 4. I hit that ping G410 34 yards farther than I would hit my average 7-iron. Now these two balls, this one here and that one right there, let's measure the average distance of those gained. Okay, so this is somewhere right in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19 yards farther on those. So, moral of the story is if you want more yardage, really just an overall great looking feeling club, you're not gonna go wrong with the G410. You know, that's solid. I'm super impressed. Super impressed with the results of that. Again, for me personally, looking at the club, just the overall size of it, a little bit on the bulky side, but you know what? It's smaller than the G400 and it feels great. And if it's gonna get me that many yards extra, that yardage gain would be worth it. So definitely consider that as a viable option, you guys. I mean, the yardage speaks for itself. So again, thank you guys so much for watching Golf Fit Athletics. As always, aim small, swing smooth. Peace.